Calling the board's meeting to order. Can I get a roll call vote, please?
Melissa Clark,
Present.
Rebecca Haynes,
Here.
Eveluna,
Here.
Vincent Falaga here, Hillary Stokowski here, Jeff Zilke,
Here.
Diane Salter,
Here.
and
Yep.
we also have Dr. Gary Richards,
Present.
Jen Meek here, Harley Stone, Diane Zidane.
Here. Okay, let's all stand for the pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, before we get to the high school students report, just a couple things. First of all, I want to welcome Dr. Gary Richards. He's our temporary interim superintendent that's here till end of June, but this is his first board meeting. Please welcome him to our district and get to know him, but welcome, Dr. Richards.
Thank you.
Next, I want to just say to our Blackhawk family and community, on Friday, February 11th, 2022, the Oakland County Health Department announced that they will be lifting Emergency Order 2021-1, which required educational institutions to obligate their students, teachers, and staff to mask mandate effective through and up or just till February 28th, 2022. I would like to give you some recent update on what we felt led to this change. On Wednesday, February 9th, 2022, the board presidents from various Oakland County school district were in attendance for the COVID-19 update provided by the Oakland County Health Department and Oakland schools. Brandon came prepared with our data, statistics, but also from other area districts. We expressed that we are using our tests to stay and really appreciate having that available. We now have proudly kept our buildings open for the last 2 years. We told them how we have had a significant decline in our COVID numbers, which they acknowledged they knew how well our numbers have been. We reported that our Flint Metro League districts have reported a significant decline in cases and that they did not have a mask mandate. We requested that they consider undoing the mask mandate for those school districts like Brandon, whose cases are significantly low and in decline. Our neighboring district partners, Oxford and Clarkston, then expressed their frustration about not only the Oakland County Health Department's lack of communication to communities wanting them to come talk to them, but also how detrimental things are becoming. They described specific negative situations that have now been detrimental to learning, safety, and mental health. We believe that Friday's announcement is due to Brandon's, Oxford's, and Clarkston's showing outcomes that have and are now causing issues in educating and protecting our kids. This Oakland County Health Department decision is a major step in improving the quality of the school day of our students. We want to take a moment to thank everyone who expressed their opinions in this matter, including parents and community members. We heard you. We will continue to listen to you. We also wish to thank our neighboring North Oakland districts and superintendents who joined with Brandon in voicing and expressing concerns about the mandate continuing. We want our community to know that we will continue to get updates from the Oakland County Health Department. Our administration will always be assessing our situation so that if we need to adjust, this board will do such on a case by case and not a one size fits all. But now Dr. Richards will give us a recommendation on what our policy for masks should be starting on February 28th. This recommendation will become our action item H like Henry later in our meeting, and that is where we will discuss and vote on it. Dr. Richards.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. I'd like to start by referring to the press release of last Friday breaking the second paragraph, the Health Division weighed several factors to determine the appropriate time to end the mask requirement in schools, including a sharp decline in new COVID cases and hospitalizations and increasing vaccination rates in the county. And I think those were the critical pieces and issues allowing the Oakland County Health Division to lift the mask mandate. They also provide some data, some specific pieces of information I think are helpful. The Health Division monitors key metrics. The test positivity rate dropped nearly 50%. And I think you'll see here that all of these are really good signs that maybe we're nearing the bend and maybe there's some light at the end of the tunnel. Cases of COVID-19 during the week ending February 6th declined 40%. And the 7-day case average for February 8th declined 83% from its peak in early January. All good signs. Hospital admissions in Oakland County for adults dropped 72% since the peak on January 10th and declined 67% for children since the highest admissions on January 8th. So another good sign, both of those areas. Also want to reference the state of Michigan COVID-19 vaccine dashboard. As of February 8th, 75.8%, almost 76% of Oakland County residents 5 years old and older received their first dose of the COVID-19 vaccine. This number is even higher for residents 12 and older, with 79.1% receiving their first dose. So I think these are some positive signs. I talked with Carly and also Dan. They've been running our Test to Stay program, and they provided a couple of pieces of information that I thought I would share with you as well. The program started in January 11th, so it's really only been, I guess, in operation for about 5 weeks, but has been successful so far. We've had 147 students that have been tested during that 5-week window, and only 23 were positive. If you do the math, it's only about 16% over a 5-week period. However, if you look at the total student population, which is around 2340, you're talking about a 1%, which is not very many of our students that have tested positive, at least through our Test to Stay program. I can't speak for others outside, parents that have kept kids home because they thought they had COVID and maybe tested locally. So I don't have those numbers. I didn't have enough time to gather that information. But at least from our Test to Stay program, it's also positive. I also had a chance to meet with principals this morning. I also had a chance to meet with our cabinet members as well. So in receiving feedback from them, it was overwhelming that they do support making masks optional within our district. They do, however, strongly recommend that we follow the OCHD guidance and recommend masks, but allow personal choice, allow the option for parents and staff to wear a mask. I also had a chance to contact the teachers union, and they were kind enough to put together a quick survey for me. And we broke the survey into really 3 categories: masks not required, masks recommended but optional, and masks required. Masks not required, 36% of the teachers felt that masks did not need to be required. Almost 29% felt masks should be recommended, but would be willing to comply with making them optional. They would prefer masks because they believe that it's a good preventative strategy to help reduce the spread of COVID, but are willing to make them optional as long as the board is willing to strongly recommend that we go forward with masks. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Okay. The final category, masks required, 35% of the teachers thought we should go ahead and require masks. So about 65% of our teachers felt that we could move forward as long as we strongly recommend masks and making them optional for parents and staff. And I want to mention just a couple of other things that if the board agrees with my recommendation, I think there are a couple of other things that I would like to do because I plan on sending out a letter to the staff, and I also plan to send a letter out to parents. The one thing I think we should continue to stress are these preventative strategies. If we lift the mandate and allow masks to be optional, we still need to encourage hand washing. We still need to encourage social distancing and staying home when you're sick. And I will include in my letter, again, some of the things that we should be looking for and parents should be looking for and encourage them not to send their kids to school. Another piece that I think is important that I would also include, and I want you to consider as well, is that we will closely monitor the test positivity rates. If we see a substantial or sustained increase, then I think I need to come back to the board and make a recommendation that maybe we need to return to masks either in our individual schools, if it's applicable, or the entire district. We hope we don't have to, but I think it's important to point that out, that if we do see something significant, we probably need to act on it. And then finally, the other piece that I would like to address would be mask bullying. Some of our young people will decide, parents will decide that they want to wear a mask. And I think it's important for us to stress the importance of personal choice and being supportive of one another. And so I would plan on including at least a paragraph in our letters that go home to remind everyone that we need to be mindful and respectful and courteous and kind to one another with respect to our personal health issues. So having said all of that, I do have a recommendation. I put in front of you my recommendation, specifically in keeping with Oakland County Health Division. I recommend that the Board of Education strongly recommend universal indoor masking by all students and staff, but allow parents, staff, and guests the option or choice of wearing a mask in our school buildings, effective on February 28th.
Thank you, Dr. Richards. We'll talk about this, but I do really like the word strongly recommend. You put in there, but thank you. We'll talk about it for action item H. Next on our agenda, we have the Brandon High School student report. Do we think they're on there? Yeah.
They are not. I do not have a report.
Okay, if
from
they
them.
pop in, we'll put them in somewhere. We'll fit them in. Okay, next I have a bond update from our architect and our construction manager regarding facility projects. Go ahead, Brian and Jeff. You guys have the floor.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, thank you. I'm very sorry I couldn't be there in person tonight. I sent I've got a little update for you where we are with the bond. I've sent something to Maria. I think she's putting it up on the phone. There we go. Thank you very much. So we're going to be reporting every month to you to update where we are on the bond projects. So this will be the same format we'll be using, and we'll just be updating it as we go. The next page on the slide represents the design update. And there's two projects we have designed right now, is the Harvey Swanson playground improvements. And also we're designing the Oakwood Elementary parking lot. So the first project I want to talk about is the Swanson playground improvements. The images that you see on the screen are the result of a committee that worked very hard. We met several weeks over the past several weeks here, and worked with a playground consultant and talked about all the playground areas at Swanson. And what we're showing you tonight is what the committee has come up with as their approved designs that we will be going out for bids this month and coming to the board in March with the recommendations. So this view here is the area which is on the east side of the building. That's where their current fantasy castle structure is that will be removed. And this will be the new structure. And also there's some separate items, some swings and some climbers that'll also be in that area that will replace the fantasy castle. So those are some images there, some different views. The next slide, I think, has some more images, just a different view of that with the school in the background. So the committee just did a great job. It was really wonderful to work with them. We started brainstorming at the very first few meetings as far as what items that were lacking for the children and what items that they really didn't use. So we were able to develop these new concepts and these new pieces of equipment. And at the end of the day, I think the committee was in agreement that the items that were chosen, the kids will be very excited to have these. So again, this area here is representing the east side of the building. This will be inside the walking track. Those of you familiar with Swanson, there's the round walking track there near the gazebo. This will be the new piece of equipment that will be in that area there. The next slide, I think, has some more images. This is kind of an overhead view, a bird's eye view, so to speak, of the new equipment with the swings on the right side and the climbing equipment on the left. As you can see, it's a large play structure that's kind of spread out. One of the items that was a very big concern from the committee was that we wanted to make sure that we didn't have any hiding spots in the large structure so that they could be well supervised for the kids. And this structure here is very open and will allow that to happen for supervision. The next slide is kind of a drawing that will be going out for bids that has all the model numbers and so forth. I just wanted to show you that just so you can relate to that. The next slide is the second area that we'll be replacing. This is also along the north edge of the walking track. There's just a couple pieces there that are kind of freestanding. We called this Zone 2. The previous area we called Zone 1. This is called Zone 2. We're going to have some freestanding equipment, some climbers, some swings, some balance items, some slides, and this is will be right adjacent to the north edge of the walking track. The next slide has some other views of the same pieces of equipment. As you can see, some balance areas, some hanging bars, some climbers. So it gives them a good variety of activities here. There will be new soft surfacing, the wood chips that will be put down also for safety zone material along with that. The next slide shows you a bird's eye view of this area called Zone 2. The walking track will be, it's not shown on the image there, but it'll be adjacent to the wood chip area on the bottom of your slide. So they'll be able to get access right from the walking track onto the playground area. And the next image is more of the detailed drawings that will be going out for bids for the contractors with the model numbers and so forth. The next slide is the rear area that we called Zone 3. This is behind the school. There's one piece of equipment we are going to leave. It's one of those play structures, but there's some swings that have been taken down actually because of the septic tank project and some other old pieces of equipment that we're just going to remove. And these will be separate pieces of equipment that will be replacing those. So there's a dome climber, some swings, again, some hanger climbers. The next image is an overhead view of that area, which shows you the areas. The area on the left, lower left, which looks like a cutout area in green, that's actually going to be the area where the existing piece of equipment will be remaining. It's just not shown graphically on this illustration. What's shown here are the new pieces of equipment that will go around it. So if you're familiar with Swanson, there's some pieces of equipment that are kind of by themselves, kind of floating in the back there, and those will all be removed. And so all the playground area will now be condensed into the same area for the children. The next picture, again, is more the detailed design drawing that the contractors will be bidding. And then the next picture is more of another bird's eye, more three-dimensional, showing you all three locations. There's the Fantasy Castle on the right, Zone 2 is up in the upper right part, and then Zone 3 is in the back in the upper left. The walking track's not shown on this image, but this kind of gives you a relationship of where the three zones of equipment are in relationship to each other. The next image will show a little bit better Well, that's all I have. Oh, no, there it is. Okay, so the next image shows you more of a relationship. There's the walking track with the Zone 1 Fantasy Castle area in the middle, and then Zone 2 is in the upper part of the screen, and then Zone 3 is in the back in the lower left. So all three areas will be addressed with the new equipment. We'll be going out for bids right now. Actually, the drawings are ready to go out. We'll be bringing those bids in. Jeff will talk a little bit more about the construction schedule next. But we're really excited about this design. Again, I'm very pleased with the committee. They just did a great job. They worked very hard in their task of designing the new playground for the students. They did a great job, and we had it was a good experience. We met several times. I thank them for their commitment, and it was really a great experience. So we're very excited about the project. If there's any questions I can answer before moving on and talking about the Oakwood parking lot.
Anybody got a question for our construction people? No, Brian, we're all set. Thank you.
Okay, the next image is just an image, I think, of Oakwood. So this will be a very big project coming up for next summer, replacing the parking lot and the drive lane areas. Quite extensive. We've had soil borings from a geotechnical company that they took, and we've been analyzing those. And I know there's a lot of problems with that current parking lot. So we've been working with Mark and his staff and the civil engineer and Jeff and his estimators to put together this project here, which also is going out for bids tomorrow. And we'll be bringing those bids in March. So this will be a big project that's well needed. And this is our other project that'll be out for bids this month. So that's my design update. I think I'll turn it over to Jeff now to talk a little bit more about the construction, the bidding and the construction schedule on the next slides.
Real quick, before you go there, Jeff, anybody got a question regarding the Oakwood and the parking lot? Okay, all set, Jeff. Go ahead.
Okay, great. Thanks, Brian, and thanks for giving us the opportunity to present tonight. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, we're getting lots of feedback.
I'm not sure why, but just working off my laptop.
Okay, now you're better.
Okay, great. As Brian said, we're getting ready to put the projects out to bid. We've got tentative bid dates set up, pre-bid dates for February 22nd, so just a week from tomorrow, to meet on site with prospective bidders. And then we've got a bid date set for March 9th. We'll have both projects due on the same date at the same time. So we'll be able to find out the results of those that day. And then once we get through the bidding, we will do our post bids with the contractors or the bidders and make sure that we've got the low qualified bidders. With the parking lot project, we'll have just two bid divisions, one for site work and one for asphalt paving. And that'll cover all the scope of the work for us. And then once we go through the bidding process and put together a award recommendation after the post bids, we will take that to the district for approval. And then we will proceed with contracts and then get the contractors rolling with any of their submittals, any things that they need to do between getting their contracts and when the point of construction starts, which we're looking to start as soon as the school is available. So tentatively, we're looking at the second week of June. And we'll probably have roughly 8 weeks of construction time. It all depends on the site conditions underneath and different areas we run into to find out if we've got poor soils or not. We're supposed to have the drawings and specs to us by tomorrow, so this should be on the street by Wednesday for bidding purposes. And then we will see how that goes, but I think we're in pretty good shape. The base bid drawing is going to be for the most basic work that we can do to make sure we get everything addressed. And then there's going to be, I believe, 2 alternates in there to do a little bit more extensive work. But it's nice to do them by add alternates, because then you're going to get competitive bidding throughout the process and be able to evaluate the total cost right on bid day to see how things are going to come together. So looking forward to it. We should have a pretty good bid result. Any questions?
None for me. Anybody got questions? No, thank you, Jeff. Thank you, Jeff.
You're welcome.
Just-
You're welcome.
I just want to add, in the future, we'll have, this will be the part of the presentation, as in the future, where we'll have some progress photographs of the construction as it's taking place. So as we get into the summertime months, as we start to do the demolition of the playground equipment in the parking lot, we'll be able to share photographs at this point in our presentation and show the board updates as the construction is progressing. So thank you very much for your attention tonight.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it, Brian. Thanks, Jeff, also. Take care. Good night. Okay, next I have part of the bond update. I have technology projects. Jan?
Yeah, I just wanted to update the board briefly. We do have a couple action items tonight. The first is regarding the phone system. Last month, Thomas did present his list of projects, and one of them is the new phone system district-wide that we moved up to this summer. First of all, we do need it, and second of all, I think it's going to be more efficient to combine the new phone system with the emergency communication system that the board had previously approved the RFP. So we're combining the two systems. Thomas and I have been working with Jeremy, our contract attorney, and he is very knowledgeable of RFPs, to make sure that the RFP is all inclusive and that it's unbiased, and so when it hits the street that it's wide open, but includes everything that we need from the technical aspect. So we feel we're ready to go with that. We're just here to get approval for that to go out this week, and then if all goes well, we will be asking on March 21st at that meeting. We will be recommending the contract for the board. So that's the goal. The next one is RFP tonight for the, again, this is another bond project. It's in a bond application, and it is for increased security cameras throughout the district. So we would like to proceed with the RFP for that project. Again, Thomas and I and Jeremy have been working on the verbiage in the RFP to get it just right, and we'll be finalizing that in the morning, going through it one last time. And if all is good with the board, we would like for that RFP to go out this week as well. Again, March 21st, we will bring a recommendation to the board for approval for a contract.
Sounds great. So we should have four
For contracts.
recommendations of four contracts
Yeah.
between Oakwood,
Yeah.
different areas,
Yeah.
technology, security.
And
Okay.
these two here, the construction manager and the architect, do not get involved in these projects. I mean, they're mostly involved in every bond project we're going to do, except for these two and band instruments, which happens to be tonight as well. But these are kind of non-construction related.
Perfect. Thank you, Jan. Obviously,
Okay,
thank
thanks.
you, Tom, too. Any questions for Jan or Tom? Okay, having none, superintendent report. Dr. Richard.
All right, thank you once again. I'm excited. I'm excited for a number of reasons, but I spent the morning at Oakwood Elementary, got to meet the staff, and I also spent the afternoon at the high school, got to meet the staff and harass a few of our teachers and employees. But I'm also excited because we are joined this evening by two distinguished individuals who've been in our district for a number of years, Christie Polisik and Russ McMartin. I'd like to ask you both to please come up and stand by the lectern. I want to see a couple of things. Come on. You gotta come on up. I hope you have your speeches prepared. Jan, keep them on your face. Christie has been with the district since August of 2000. During her time with the district, she has been an elementary resource room teacher, a reading recovery teacher, and she is currently a resource room teacher at Harvey Swanson Elementary. Christie received numerous nominations from parents of current and former students, as well as staff members during this year's nomination window, thanks to her dedication to her students, her school, and the Brandon community. Many shared that she is always willing to go the extra mile for any student by tutoring students after school or during the summer, communicating with families, or supporting a colleague working tirelessly to ensure all students are growing. Russ has been with the district as a director of bands since 1998, teaching our middle and high school concert bands, jazz band, and leading our marching band. Through Russ's leadership, not only do students consistently earn Division I ratings at MSBOA festivals, students are provided opportunities to travel and perform across the country, even through the COVID-19 pandemic. Thanks to a lot of additional intentional planning and oversight, high school students traveled to Orlando this past fall to perform and create a lifetime of memories. Middle school students will have the opportunity to do the same, as they will be heading up to Mackinac Island to perform this spring. As his nominator mentioned, he has been amazing throughout the last 2 years. He has organized trips, competitions, concerts, along with a halftime marching band entertainment. So Christie and Russ, on behalf of the Board of Education, on behalf of your peers, your fellow teachers, on behalf of our parents, and certainly, most importantly, on behalf of our students, I want to present you a certificate of honor and distinguished dedication and service to the community. So I'll make sure I have these right. One for the elementary teacher of the year. I think that's Christie for you.
Thank you.
This is like so heartwarming for us, because this is why we are here, to hear these kind of accolades coming out of students, coming out of parents, coming out of our community. Please keep up all the good work, and thank you very much for all you have done for all these students and kids since 1998 and 2000.
Yes.
Well, congratulations again.
It's all right. I'm still not done with my report. I gotta start paying attention.
Yeah.
Stephanie, are you here? Where's Stephanie?
Diane, is she?
All right, Stephanie, you
Yeah.
you gotta stand up as well. I haven't a chance to meet everyone yet, and I wasn't a part of the hiring process, but Stephanie, I want to welcome you. You have some information in your packet. She earned a Bachelor of Arts degree in sociology from Oakland University.
Yes.
Also a Master of Social Work from Wayne State University. She went through a number of interviews. She passed the first interview, was then asked back for another interview, I think it was in the afternoon, and then a final interview with our acting superintendent, Mr. Dan Stevens, and eventually was offered the position of school social worker at Brandon High School. So Stephanie, we are excited to have you here. Welcome. If you want to mention or state a couple of things that you're planning on doing in your new role, we'd be happy to hear what you have to say.
Well, I'm happy to be here. So it's been a really good experience last week and a day today. So yeah, I'm planning on just working with the mental health department here, the counselor and social worker and that's already here, and kind of developing some programs, maybe just doing groups and meeting with many needs that students have within the mental health needs that they might have. But really just working with the team. And we already have a really good team, so I'm happy to be part of that team already. I can tell that, you know, we're all really want to help, you know, all the kids here. So I'm looking forward to being part of that and coming up with different things with our team. So, but yeah, I do have a background in mental health. You know, I have a decade in life and as an outpatient, so I'm excited to bring my clinical knowledge here into the school and help kids with mental health issues.
Well, welcome,
For
Diane.
team,
Anything
yeah.
to say?
Nope, I'm just thrilled to have Stephanie with us and
Yeah.
really building our team up, and it brings a lot of great experience with her. So
Yeah, I'm happy
thank
to
you
be
for
here.
joining us.
She's been pushing for
Yeah,
for you to come aboard.
yeah, I'm happy to be here, really.
Thank
It's a really
you.
good experience. Everyone's been so nice, so.
Welcome aboard. Thank you. Hey, nice to have
All right.
for you.
You know, I apologize. I sometimes see people without a mask on, and then when I see them again with a mask on, I don't even know who they are. It's maybe you find that to be true. Debbie, I know you're here somewhere. Where's Debbie? And I know Debbie.
Okay.
I know her really well. We've had a couple of conversations and we've been able to share some time together. I understand that the board has had showcases, school showcases over the years.
Yes.
And Debbie has wanted to make a presentation. She's been so excited, there was no way I was going to hold her back. So she's here today with a couple of her colleagues because she has some exciting news she wants to share about her building, Harvey Swanson Elementary. Debbie, the floor is yours.
Wonderful introduction.
I still don't know who you are.
We are thankful to be here. Thank you for this opportunity to talk about what our wonderful Harvey Swanson students are doing, ways they're shining, ways that they're leaders, and just have an opportunity to talk about couple cool programs that we worked really hard to keep going at Harvey Swanson. So next slide, please. We want to talk to you tonight about three things. One is Student of the Week. It looks like that picture is covered by that, and that's okay, but that's the picture on the far right. And then you see our Student Council and our Student Safeties. And we'll come back to that slide in a minute, Carly, but go to the next slide. Those are the main programs we're going to talk to you about. And I'm going to talk about Student of the Week first, and then I'm going to let you know I'm Debbie Brower. This is
Jackie Long. I am the student council teacher lead.
fourth grade teacher. And I'm Beth Mulligan. I'm in charge of the safety patrol at Harvey Swanson. That's great. So these are our team that kind of keep all of our student leaders growing and leading. So the first thing I want to talk about is Student of the Week and how all of the things that we do tie into our positivity project. That's something we've been doing for years now, and that's basically all under the umbrella of Other People Matter. And we really kind of tie into the character strength of integrity, perseverance, teamwork, kindness, and self-control. Those are the things that these students kind of really shine in. And then our JK through fifth grade students all have an opportunity to be Students of the Week. We've been doing that now for about 3 years, and each year it evolves into something more. This year, teachers recommend a student in their classroom, and they write up a little blurb, and there's nothing better than typing up what they're actually saying about their students.
No.
It's such a highlight. It takes such time to take all that and put it in the certificate, but it's so worth it. And then on Monday, we announce it over the announcements, and all those students come down and they get their picture taken. And then I put that in the newsletter for those of you that get a chance to read that. You'll see the students and the kind words their teachers have put in there. And then we also display it on our TV at school. So that's the one that I'm really kind of overseeing and working hard on. And of course, all the teachers are doing, but that gives all students an opportunity to shine at Harvey Swanson.
Okay. I'm going to talk about student council. So student council this year is grades 3 and 4. Our hope is to give our upper elementary students a chance to kind of help, especially our lower L, in various ways and help around our school. So we had 45 kids apply in grades 3 and 4. We took everybody. So we had kind of two different groups. I have a group that's like going now until spring break, and then the other group will go after spring break. They are helping with everything from like they organize the lost and found, and they're decorating our school and doing a lot of cleanup projects. We have a lot of masks all over our playground. I have little trash picker uppers. They go out there, they think they are hot stuff. Pick up trash. And they're going to help like clean library and things like that. So, and I'm really trying to make it very student driven. I want them to bring a lot of ideas about what they would like to see happen at our school. Right.
And kind of the same thing with the safety patrol. There's 45 students on our safety patrol. Again, all students that applied made the safety team, and they have to actually fill out an application to apply. So some of the questions that they're asked, they really need to stop and reflect on those character strengths that we emphasize every week with our positivity project. And they have to think about, do they follow the rules? You know, are they being responsible with their homework and getting that done? They also have to ask a couple of questions about why they think they would be a good safety. And it's really cute because some of the responses are, well, I have babysitting experience. And I'm thinking, what? The beginning of the year is babysitting.
Yeah.
That they have experience with their younger siblings, helping out with them. And one little boy said that he actually made animal balloons this summer for younger kids in his neighborhood, I think. So it's really cute how they are taking their experiences and thinking how they can apply that to the role of the safety patrol. And I think, yeah.
So we just have a few pictures to share with you of our students at work.
So that picture on the right is one of the students of the week, the picture that's on the newsletter.
And then the bottom are the two different student councils, because there were so many of them, and we have a first round and a
Yes.
second round. So we got really creative with how we can get everybody to serve before June. And then on the left is the whole fifth grade safety team.
Very nice.
Okay, Carly, I think we have the next. Oh. No, go back through it and see.
Oh, there we
Oh,
go.
they're there.
Here's the safety team.
Yeah.
All right.
So some of the roles that our safety patrol is in charge of in our school is each morning they will greet students coming into the building. We have quite a few safeties that help our youngest Blackhawks as they come in the morning. They get in their line for their teacher's class line. They'll walk them down to classrooms. They also help them at lunchtime, at recess time. And we have quite a few safeties that'll go down at dismissal and help them pack up and get all their belongings together and escort them safely to the bus. We have our bus safeties that make sure everybody's getting down the sidewalk safely. And then we do call on some safeties from time to time to help with some problem solving situations. So they can help with that peer conflict resolution and really be some leaders and solving problems.
Let's speak one more slide.
Yeah, these are some of our recess safeties on the right. And just so you know, these safeties pretty much go out every single day. Instead of going out for their fifth grade recess, they go out with their junior kindergartners and they help out in the cafeteria. It's so heartwarming to watch this. And they love it. And we now have some kids saying, can I do it too? So yeah. So we keep finding buddies for people. And then the one on the left is in the morning when the kids come in, they meet in the gym, the kindergarten and first grade. And they have a safety that monitors each line. So that young man, Bryce, is in charge of senior kindergarten, and those are all his buddies. And then I think
there's one more slide.
there's one more slide.
Oh,
Two more.
Two more. Yeah, so student council helped with the Osap food drive at Thanksgiving. They'll decide our March is reading month, Spirit Week coming up soon. And then if you want to go, there's one more slide of them. They organized our lost and found. Kurt was kind enough to come over and hang up some wires so we could hang up all of the lost mittens and hats. And oh my goodness, this little third grader, we're walking down the hall. She's like, this is so exciting. I'm like, we're organizing lost and found. She's very fired up. So
Yeah, so we're happy we can offer the students voice and leadership, and these are great things. Thank you for letting us share it with you.
Absolutely.
And that's it.
That's exciting to see. I'm so glad Harvey Swanson came in to come tell us about all this. Anybody got any questions or anything they want to
Just
say?
As a parent who has a child in safety and one in student council, it is a great experience for them, and the application process was wonderful, teaching great life skills, and so thank you.
It's our pleasure.
Thank you very much. Okay, next I have board reports if there are any. I know I have quick update to just tell the community and board members. On Friday, we had our first board workshop with Michigan Leadership Institute. They are the company that's gonna help us find a permanent superintendent to come lead this district starting on July 1st. So that process is starting. I ask everybody, monitor emails, monitor our Facebook, monitor your school website, because there will be, I think, a survey there they're planning on posting. There's gonna be different things coming, and we really, really, really want community input. And we want parent input, and we want student input. So it's some of all of the above. But I just wanted to say we started, the process is officially started. We already have some dates, not that everything's 100% specific, but we have a date range to block off our calendars. If we need 2 days or 3 days, we have that all set to go. Does anybody else have a board report that they want?
The athletic subcommittee will be meeting the week of the 21st with the athletic director, just to go over some things that we want to accomplish in the athletic process. So I'll have that report for the board in March.
Perfect. Anybody else? Okay, next we have public comments and questions on agenda business. I just want to go, again, I'm going to read something regarding public comments. So we have 2 areas for public comments and questions. The first is on agenda business, and the other is just any citizens input section that's near the end there. For those who wish to speak, please sign in if you haven't done so on the sheet on the table where you walked in. Fill in your name, email address or a phone number, home address, group affiliation, if any, and the topic you want to speak on. For those virtual attendees, raise your hand in the chat area so you can be called on. Please type in your name, contact email, or phone number and indicate the topic you want to speak on. To our community, parents, and those who are listening in, the Brandon Board of Education recognizes the value of public comments and the importance of expressing yourself to us on district matters. Here are some guidelines for speaking. You must sign in. Please recognize yourself by stating your name. Each statement shall be limited to 3 minutes, and you can only speak once. The statements shall be directed at the board only. Generally, the board will not respond to public comments during the meeting. To ensure due process and the respect of individual rights, the district maintains a formal process for handling complaints against individuals. A problem involving an individual or a specific incident is best handled through administrative channels. Such matter should be reduced to writing and sent to Dr. Richards or myself. Speakers are asked to express themselves in a civil manner with due respect for the dignity and the privacy of others who may be affected by your comments. While it is not our intent to stifle public comment, speakers should be aware that if your statements violate the rights of others under the law of defamation or invasion of privacy, you may be held legally responsible. If you're unsure of the legal ramifications of what you're about to say, we urge you to consult first with your legal advisor. The board wants to hear what people want to say. We expect each speaker will model for our students and others in the audience on how we can respectfully disagree with others' views or voice an opinion or ask questions. And also please give accolades and encouragement to our teachers, staff, and students that are making learning progress and successes every day, every student. Okay, I have 2 people that signed in. And Rosalind, just curious, is it on agenda business?
It is.
Okay, come on up.
How are you doing today?
How are you doing, Rosalind?
Good. So I was listening to the board meeting. I just have one concern. I think I'm glad that the bond went through. There are improvements that are needed, so I'm thankful that you guys are acting on those. I do have one concern. We do have an election coming up in August. So will this parking lot be done at Oakwood prior to Election Day?
Didn't even think of that.
Yeah.
What, we're doing in August?
So August 2nd?
No.
So that,
No, Monday.
so we have,
We were shooting for mid-August. I mean, yeah.
Ooh,
so that's gonna be a problem.
Thank you.
There's, I would really like you to consider what it takes the clerk's office to conduct an election for Brandon Township. And if you look at the places, we're pretty limited where we can hold elections. So before you can make your decision on when you go through with the parking lot, please take into consideration voters of this community and
Rosalind,
keep me posted.
so glad you're here now and not in June.
Thank you
But
so much
thank
for
you.
bringing that up.
We didn't even, I'll be honest, never thought of that.
I
Give
didn't
us-
think so, because I was actually at dinner and I was listening on Zoom and I'm like, wait, there's an election coming up, so I tried so hard to get here because I'm like, it's just, if you're not, you don't think
No,
about
we
that,
don't.
so
I appreciate that.
I'm like, just have a little FYI out there, so if there's any way that you could do it prior or after, it would be greatly appreciated.
Or at least a pathway in and out.
Something.
Yeah.
We
I
have
don't
to
know.
mitigate the issue.
Yeah.
I mean, there's,
We have got to
it's one of
mitigate
our,
this.
it's a big precinct, so,
Did you-
and it's the group, it's the primary for the gubernatorial, so
Yeah.
it's
so
a
that's
higher
good one.
turnout than, some other, not as much as a president election, but something to think about.
We'll figure something.
I will make sure Dr. Richards, at least we're gonna give us a moment to follow up. Like I said, this is very much hands on the pulse of when projects were sort of slated to start go, depending on a lot of factors involved. So they'll get together and they'll get back with you. I'll make sure he's got your email. And again, I happen to know who you are, but Brandon Township clerk. Here, okay?
Thank
I just
you.
wanted to make sure.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
thank you
you.
very much. I do have two more people and I don't see that is agenda business, so we'll get with you once we're done with our action items. Next on our agenda, I have approval of consent agenda. Could I have a motion, please? Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, I'm sorry. Virtual
I'm
chat
sure I don't have any.
hands. Sorry, I apologize.
Hands,
I'm still
yeah.
getting used to.
No hands.
Okay, no hands, thank you, and I apologize to our virtual people. I'm busy looking at our audience here. Okay, next, could I get a motion for the approval of our consent agenda?
Move the Brandon Board of Education approve the consent agenda as presented.
Support.
Okay, any discussion? Having none, could I have a roll call vote, please?
Melissa Clark,
Yes.
Rebecca Haynes,
Yes.
Lisa Cataluna.
Yes.
Kim Smith Colaga, yes. Hillary Stokowski,
Yes.
Jeff Zielke,
Yes.
Diane Salter.
Yes. Okay, next, information and discussion items. Jan, finance report.
Tonight, I just had a brief update on our bond sale. Wanted to let you know that we're progressing and that our S&P rating actually came in today. We've been working on that. RJ, our financial advisor, myself met with the S&P representative and rating came in at an A+, which is very good. RJ tells me that the most common rating in Michigan is an A. So we're a notch above that. So that's good news. That should help in the to get a better interest rate when we sell the bonds. And we're on track. So just want to give you some good news. Our financial and RJ said really that's accolades because with we still have a declining enrollment district and we're taking on new debt and sometimes rating agency looks at that negatively, but we were able to maintain some good news.
Good news, that's great news.
Yeah.
Thank you. Anything else, finance?
No, that's
Okay, thank you. Education report, Carly Stone.
I hope I'm not doing half as good a job. Okay. Do you guys mind if I go to the podium?
Yep,
Megan and I are.
I was gonna
here
say, is
together
Megan joining you on
tonight.
this? Welcome, Megan.
Oh, good. I'm gonna try this. See if it works. Megan and I are here tonight to speak to all of you. If you don't mind, can you to speak to the Brandon Learn from Home update for this school year. I'm Carly Stone, Director of Curriculum here in the district. Mrs. Pagan.
Megan Kozlowski, I've been principal of the Learn from Home program and high school assistant principal.
All right. So just to kind of backtrack a little bit to talk about Brandon's virtual programming. Prior to the COVID-19 pandemic, there was the Summit Virtual Academy, which was available to students who were maybe looking for an alternate way of earning credit in school. These may be some elite athletes who may be traveling and are looking for some asynchronous ways to earn their credit. Maybe some students looking for particular courses that we didn't offer here at the high school, but we were able to continue their educational pathway by seeking some advanced courses and such. And so that's been existent here in the district for some time. And then necessity drives is the mother of invention, right? And the COVID pandemic hit. And so we launched the Brandon Learn from Home program in response to being able to provide students a rich and rigorous virtual program at home for the 2020-2021 school year, which we have now continued into this school year here. Last year, we provided synchronous instruction, K-12, for all students that enrolled. We had approximately 750 students out of our 2,200 students, 2,250 enrolled in that program last year. And so, as I said earlier, that scope, that spanned our whole program, actually preschool, even all the way through to 12th grade. We did, well, as we had that program running, we continued our Summit Virtual Academy program for those students that, again, were looking for that asynchronous opportunity. So we had both of them running together last year, but obviously with the predominance of our students enrolled in the synchronous Brandon Learn from Home instruction provided by our school district. So with that said, I'm going to pass it over to Megan to talk about the status of how things are going this year.
So this year, the Learn from Home program is different because we had the majority of our students returning to in-person instructions. The numbers for Brandon Learn from Home went down. So that necessitated changing the way that instruction was delivered. So there's no more, we don't provide synchronous instruction for 6 through 12. JK through 5 still has live instruction, you know, all day. But for our secondary students, we started working with Edmentum. And so Edmentum provides the instructors, they provide the content, but the school district will provide mentors, a Brandon teacher that does meet with students daily to provide some additional support if they need it, but the instruction is done via the Edmentum system. So it's quite different than what Learn from Home looked like last year. Students have to take more ownership of their learning with this because they're not meeting every day for live instruction. They have to, you know, log on and complete work on their classes. The suggestion is made for students to spend 45 to 60 minutes per day per class, you know, to mirror the amount of time that they would be spending if they were in person. So it's a lot more, students need to take a lot more active ownership of their learning with the way that it's done this year, which is a challenge for some students because it's hard when you don't have somebody, you know, a teacher live and in person and encouraging you every day and being the instructor and having those connections. So there's a little bit less of a connection, but we do still have the Brandon teachers mentoring students to try and still maintain it. So as far as our staffing, you can see there for elementary, we do have Ms. Muscarella. She teaches our JK through 1 combined class there. Ms. Finn does our 2-3 split, and Ms. Locker does our 4-5 split for elementary, and that is live synchronous instruction where they meet every day with students. Middle school, we have 5 middle school mentors. We have 1 for each content area, and so the way that we did the mentoring program from first to second semester has changed a little bit, and that was done to try and better meet the needs of our students as we've moved through this year. But to start with, so we have Ms. Kelly, Ms. Medaki, Ms. Borg, Ms. Ray, and Ms. Friedland provide special education services for our students. And then at the high school, we've got 3. Ms. Blankenship provides math and science support. Mr. Shannon provided English and social studies support, and then Mr. Tomish with some additional supports for our special education students. Ms. Poplick was our counselor. So she works with enrolling, she works with our summit students, she's the mentor for our summit students, and then myself as the principal.
As far as our enrollment, as we've moved and progressed from first to second semester, it's up. So our elementary for our K1 split has gone from 13 to 16 students. 2-3 is up by 1. Our 4-5 has stayed the same. Summit went from 0 to 2, and actually that just changed. Those 2 Summit elementary students who would be that Edmonton platform have just switched to full brand and learn from home. So they're in our, they're both in grades 2 and 3, so that's up a couple more. So we're up by 6 from the elementary level. Middle school is up a little bit for 6th grade, 7th grade is down 1, 8th grade has stayed the same. We've had a couple come back in person and a couple about to brand and learn from home, and our summit has gone up. So overall, middle school is right at 36. We've been trying to keep that number to 35 for the students who are assigned a mentor, but because some of those students are with Summit, we are up to 36 with middle school. And high school, that's where we've seen the most growth. We've gone from 10 to 14. Sorry, just looking at the wrong number. 61 to 76 overall. There's been an increase across the board in high school. Overall, learn from home, that's K through 12 has gone up by 16%. As far as why that is, following Oxford, we definitely at the secondary level had a shift. We had several students, understandably students and families were nervous about returning to in-person instruction, coinciding with an increase in numbers at that time in COVID. So we also had a few families who were, concerned with health risks. And so that's resulted in that 16% increase first and second semester. As far as student engagement and attendance, that's measured a little in a few different ways with virtual learning. It's measured in two-way contacts, students showing up to the daily support sessions, completed work. So kind of factoring those in, looking at attendance rates for high school, 43% of our Learn from Home students had 10% or more absences, which would be the equivalent of chronic absenteeism. So, and it doesn't get much better as you look. We've got 41% had 10 or more absences for their third period. These are high school, so they've got a 5th period Zoom and a 3rd period Zoom. And then that 6th period Zoom, that's for our special education students. We had 62% of those students had 10 or more absences. Middle school fared a little bit better at 33% with 10 or more. Elementary, that's where that live synchronous instruction where there's a little bit more of a connection with their Brandon teachers. The attendance rate does get better, but still higher than what you would see with in-person as far as chronic absenteeism. Our course pass rate also is trailing a little bit when you compare it with in-person. So for elementary, looking at the grade 4-5 split, we had 2 students that were failing 2 or more subject areas, and 5 students that were failing 1 to 2. So that brought out, if you consider for each student, there's like those 4 enrollments, we'll call them, that ends up being about an 83% completion rate. So 83% of students are passing their 4 content areas. Secondary, you can see the completion rate there gets a little bit lower. So for grade 6, for all of the courses, so each student being enrolled in 6 courses, we're at a 60% completion rate, 7, 59%, grade 8 is a 62. And then high school, you can see it shift down again at 42% for 9th grade, 58% for 10th grade, 42% for 11, and 41% for 12. Overall, when you combine all of that, 4 through 12, we're at about a 50% course completion rate for our virtual students. Obviously, that's not great. That's not where we want to be. That trails in person. I believe it was 6% in person. As far as failure rates, course failure, so 6%. So it's definitely up from in person when you compare it. It is better than a lot of other virtual programs, but it just is kind of more proof that in person is where students need to be when you factor in that along with absenteeism and student engagement. To compare our summit program, so that's the one that has been around for a while, where you've got students that are, they're a little more, they they're more well prepared for this virtual environment where they've got to be self-disciplined. It's a lot of, ownership in their learning. We've got a 90% course completion rate for our summit students, for the students that are involved in our summit program. Attendance isn't tracked in the same way that it is with Learn from Home because they don't have those daily contacts. And this is the self-paced program. And so those students were at a 90% course completion rate. So a lot different than Learn from Home. So some of the changes to try and, like I said, better meet the needs of our students. These are primarily at the secondary level. Mentors, we did have our intention with having, all those different mentors, that we had 5 different ones at the middle school level, 3 different mentors at the high school level, was to provide content area support for students. But in looking at how the students performed, our thought was that they might do better with smaller groups. So instead of having students log on 4 or 5 times a day or 2 or 3 times a day, we assigned them, we split them up, and they each have 1 mentor. So they're smaller groups now. So now our mentors, instead of meeting with 35 kids for each of their sessions, they've got 8 or 9 kids, depending on the mentor, that they're working closely with. And those students just have that 1 mentor that they're checking in with every day moving forward, to try and make them feel like they're more part of a smaller, a smaller group. Their presence is felt more, their presence is known, and try and help build those connections a little bit more. That being said, though, for example, like Mr. Shannon, he's our high school English and social studies is what he did first semester. So if he has a student that is assigned to him that he sees every day, but they're struggling in math and he doesn't know how to support them, he will, connect them with Ms. Blankenship, who provides that math and science support. But we're just hoping that those smaller groups might help increase student engagement there. We are also moving forward with BGYA, Brandon Grove Youth Assistance, for students who failed more than 2 courses first semester, to try and help. And we've noticed a few students who have moved into that have improved already. So we're going to continue to, refer those students for some additional supports. We also notified families that as of February 28th, we're going to do a check in students who are not engaging. They're not, completing assignments, or we're spending that time online. They may also be referred to BGYA instead of waiting for the end of the semester to see how they do, to try and stop students from falling behind. We also started an incentive program, and this is it's tracked in 3 different ways. At the one reward for the middle school and 1 for the high school. So with that, 1 is work completion. So once a month at the last Friday of the month, there's going to be a check, and if students are on pace in all 4 of their classes, they're going to get a local gift card. Just sent home to them in the mail to try and encourage them to stay on pace in all of their classes. The other one is attendance and participation. Those 2 kind of go hand in hand. So attendance, that would be just attendance to their Zoom sessions. If they're showing up every day to their Zoom sessions with their mentor. If they are present for the entire week, their name will get entered into a drawing at the end of the year. And then same thing with participation. So for participation, we did that as time logged, because one of the problems I mentioned, 45 to 60 minutes per course per day, that we found on average students were below that. If students did put in the time, they tended to do well and pass the courses, but if students weren't putting in the time, they didn't. So if students are active for 600 minutes or more for the week, because it gives you like a student activity for the week. So if students are active for 600 minutes or more for that week, then they'll get entered to win that drawing as well. And then we're going to have a joint session, Zoom session at the end of the semester for those students to win some Brandon gear. And the top prize would then be a tablet. So that's our incentive program to try and increase student engagement for a better second semester.
Thanks, Megan. All right, so with all that information, we've been thinking about next year, kind of that once November hits already, so thinking about the coming school year already, which is kind of crazy, but that's where we're at, and now we're in February. And so to help us do that, not only have we been monitoring student completion rates, student participation rates and attendance, but also academic achievement. And so because not everybody tested on the state assessment last year, wasn't a requirement for students. Many of our Learn from Home families did not participate. So that's really not a good tool for us to use to look at as far as student achievement. However, everyone was required to participate in the benchmark assessment by the MDE, and for us, that's NWPA. And if you recall this fall, I went through and kind of shared what our percentile of proficiency was across the district by grade level. We've actually broken it down by students that are participating in person compared to those students that are participating in our Brain and Learn from Home program at both the elementary and secondary level and ELA and mathematics. So I'm looking at this fall and pulling out the students that are participating in our Learn from Home program compared to those participating in our in-person program. At the elementary level and ELA, you can see that our average percentile, proficiency percentile for students is 54, it's in the 54th percentile, and in mathematics is 53. For Brain and Learn from Home, you'll see that a little bit smaller, which is 47 and 43, with about 6% of those Brain and Learn from Home students not participating and not engaging, and actually not being tested. So that's important information to know and to keep in the back of your mind. When we look at the secondary level, however, for in-person, it's funny, we're like right at the norm. We're the 50th percentile in ELA and 50th percentile in math for our in-person instruction. And then you look at the Brain and Learn from Home and you see 56th percentile for ELA and 53rd percentile in math. And that's a really deceiving number. And that's why there's 3 asterisks sitting there. We have over a quarter of our students that did not participate in testing whatsoever. They're not engaging. And so when we don't have, sadly, when we look at the list of who those students are, most, if not all of those students are students that are not seeing success or not participating in the program, which likely means that would they have tested, those numbers would have looked different and likely that average would have been lower. So that's just looking, okay, where are our students at percentile wise? And then we took the data from last year, and I say this is an estimated number because we had so much movement with 750, 800 students moving in and out of the program throughout the last school year. But we wanted to get a sense of how did our students grow in that program that we put together last year. And granted, we're very proud of the program we put together last year, given everything that we went through and the fact that we had something rich and rigorous. And quite honestly, these numbers are still pretty remarkable given all of the circumstances. But what we did learn and what we did see is that those students that participated in person grew at a much greater rate than those students that participated in our Brain and Learn from Home program. So with all that said, we can make the generalization using the estimated data. Please don't hold me to that, because like I said, it's pretty tricky with 750 kids, but that gap is big enough and there's a sample size big enough to say that there is definitely an advantage to students being in person, sitting in front of us in terms of growth compared to those that are in our Learn from Home program. So needless to say, this data supports the statement that an average student enrolled in in-person instruction in the Brandon School District has a greater proficiency percentile and demonstrates growth at a greater rate than an average student that is enrolled in our Brain and Learn from Home program. And as Megan shared, she gave you some examples today of why that is likely to be the case: participation rates, minutes logged, and attendance. So with that said, we say all of that because we will be moving our program. We'll be changing our program for the 2022-2023 program. That will be shifting more to the virtual Summit Virtual Academy model. When we launched the Brain and Learn from Home program, vaccines were not available. The COVID pandemic was really, there's so much of it that was unknown. 2 years later, we're really looking on the other side of it now. As Dr. Richards mentioned, hopefully we're over the hump at this point. All the research that's coming out says that in-person instruction is better for students than those that are remote. Those that have been in person have fared better than those that have been remote. Those have been on and off have not fared as well as those that have been in person. And our data supports all of that research that's come out. So as a result, the Brandon School District would like to have as many kids back in person as possible. So we are going to be shifting back to our Summit Virtual Academy model. The enrollment in that program will be a full year. It will not be the transition point of the semester, with the exception of if we see a student failing at the semester mark, they will be required to return in person. They will not be able to maintain that program over the course of the school year. Our previous Summit Virtual Academy model utilized a variety of different vendors for a variety of reasons. One of the things we really enjoyed in our Brain and Learn from Home program this year has been our partnership with Edmentum. We feel that's a very powerful partnership. We've received a lot of great feedback, the amount of participation from the mentors. I know Diane has Edmentum teachers participating in IEPs. They're frequently reaching out to us questions about students. I get progress reports on students. Megan gets progress reports on students. So it's really quite remarkable. And so that's actually a bonus that's come out of the work that we've done this year. And we look forward to using Edmentum as our primary mode of vendor-provided instruction, with the exception here or there of an AP course that maybe Edmentum may not use, and that's when we turn to like a Michigan Virtual or a VenNet or GenNet vendor. This will be the asynchronous model. However, there will be mentorship. And so mentorship happens not just through Edmentum, but it will be through the Groveland School District as well. Once we get our numbers in for enrollment, will help us gauge what kind of mentorship we need to be thoughtful to. One of the driving factors in how we designed our program this year was the fact we had 10 sixth graders and 11 seventh graders and 12 eighth graders wanting to be a part of this program, which caused us to have to look at things differently. So we are going to have an open enrollment opportunity for students, and when we receive that information, that's when we will make decisions on what kind of mentorship will be provided. But there will be a connection to the Brandon School District, to our Brandon School District staff, that may be in the form of our Summit Virtual Counselor, Samantha Polisik, who's already doing a great job with this. It may be looking at additional staff members in the district. We don't know yet. We will find out when enrollment occurs. And like I said, it's going to be an application process, and that's how Summit Virtual Academy initially launched. That application process is going to begin at the beginning of March. It's going to close after spring break. So we're going to give families plenty of opportunity to have time to think and consider. We are going to have to make that a hard deadline after spring. It's going to be the Friday after spring break. I think that's April 8th. And that's really important for us for planning purposes here in the district budgetarily and also for staffing purposes. Any student that were to enroll in the school district after that date is obviously welcome to enroll in that program, but the enrollment period for students currently in the school district will fall from March 1st to April 8th. We are going to ensure that students have demonstrated success on an online program in order to participate in Summit Virtual Academy. And we will also ask for a teacher recommendation from someone here in our district or outside of the district that will vouch for the student being successful in the program. We want to get them successful right from the start. And so we believe that having that being a part of our application process will help ensure that students will be successful right from the onset of us launching the program. So that is what we're looking forward to for the 22-23 school year regarding Brandon from Home and the Summit Virtual Academy. I want to thank Megan for giving us a status update of what the school year has looked like so far. Really appreciate all of your work and effort in doing all of that for us, as well as your team. I know Samantha's amazing. Mrs. Polisik, our counselor over there. But when we put all of that information together, we feel it's pretty compelling. That, and the research is telling us the same thing, but it's nice to know that our information matches what research is telling us. We feel it's pretty compelling that we need to move forward in this mode and try to have as many students return back to the district as possible. And for those that are adamant in staying online, there is an application process. We'll work through that with them. If there's any questions or concerns, we have staff here in the district that will meet with families and have additional conversations. But
I agree. You laid it out very well for us. Does anybody have, I think there's going to be some people with questions. Go ahead, Lisa.
So I apologize up front. I can't recall the name of the program that you presented on either last meeting or meeting before that, Megan, addressing the committee.
MTSS, yeah.
Thank you. There we go. Is there a concentric overlap of services between that program and our Learn from Home or Summit? Or is it the case that the services that are intended for one audience don't necessarily work well for the other audience? I'm just trying to gather information so when people ask me questions, I've got the right lines connected or separated.
I would say it's not that it's intended for one audience and not the other. It's more of like a logistical. I mean, that's where some of the complication comes into play, is when you have struggling students who are working from home and trying to get in there.
Sure.
To provide that support is harder.
Sure.
And that's part of the reason why we switched to the, rather than 35 per mentor to going down to 8 or 9, just to be able to get more in depth with that one, with the smaller group of students, to see, what are some, try and pinpoint some other supports that we can get in there. But as far as the way that the MTSS is set up at the high school anyways, with the every 6 weeks meeting and the teacher teams and stuff like that, we don't really have that opportunity with the Learn from Home students. So it's, another one of those reasons why it is so much more effective for students, especially struggling students, to be in person versus learning from home.
Good question. Anybody else have a question or a follow-up? I do have a question, and I don't know if this is a little off base, but I know at one time that students could attend in person, but then take an online course right there in one of the rooms. Is that still,
Yes.
that option doesn't change?
Yes, and we're doing that right now.
Like AP and
Yep,
things like that?
Yep, we will continue to do that.
Okay, and you said there's a deadline for parents to do this. I just ask that this get out even as early as you can.
Sure.
Get them to put it on our Facebook, get them to, so we can share it to the local Facebook pages so that these parents and kids, because when you say that's a hard, because before it was, well, sort of hard, but we'll still take you up to whenever. The people need to realize the seriousness of picking, I guess, say that early, so,
We appreciate that, and we'll be happy to do that.
yeah.
Yeah.
And just toward that same point, it's always a balance to strike, right? But in trying to get the word out on something as important as this, can we throw out ideas of distributing maybe hard, good old fashioned hard copy notices, which I'm confident is already part of the plan. It's just on my mind, so I
No,
have
it's
to, because for our families who maybe technology is not quite as accessible, or they just aren't getting to that part of their technology due to work needs, et cetera. I think sometimes just getting it and looking at it, they set it on their island and it's there bothering them until something
Yeah,
happens.
no, I appreciate
So-
that, and if you think of any other ideas as things continue along the way, please don't hesitate to let us know.
Yep,
We'll be
thank you
happy
for,
to move forward with that.
thank you for all the work you did in putting this in, but I appreciate it. But I also really do, in this moment, I want to give a shout out to the Brandon Groveland Youth Assistants. I just, I now even get warm thinking about them and all that they do for this community. If people don't know who they are, please reach out to them. They are here for our kids, our community. And I just want to give that shout out because I know they're fantastic. So, but saying that, we're going to move on to our action items. Could I get a motion for the approval of the Human Resources Report?
Move the Brandon Board of Education approve the Human Resource Report as presented.
Support.
Any discussion? Having none, could I have a roll call vote, please?
Melissa Clark,
Yes.
Rebecca Haynes,
Yes.
Lisa Calhoun,
Yes.
Kim Smith Colaga, yes. Hillary Stokowski,
Yes.
Jeff Zielke,
Yes.
Dan Sullivan.
Yes. Could I get a motion to the purchase of band instruments?
Move the Brandon Board of Education approve the purchase of band instruments not to exceed $75,000 with the funding source of the 2021 voted bond as presented.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Oh, sorry. Okay, any discussion? Jan, I think any more to add?
No, this is the 3-year plan and about $160,000 worth of band instruments. Russ put it together. And I believe the board packet is listing the instruments and the year that they were purchased. And we have some really old band instruments here. So again, part of our bond application and part of the what we told the community we were going to be doing with bond money. So this is year 1.
Great to hear that. With no further discussion, could I get a roll call vote, please?
Melissa Clark,
Yes.
Rebecca Haynes,
Yes.
Lisa Calhoun,
Yes.
Smith Colaga, yes. Hillary Stokowski,
Yes.
Jeff Zielke,
Yes.
Dan Salter.
Yes. Could I get a motion for the approval to issue an RFP for additional security cameras?
Move the Brandon Board of Education approve to issue an RFP for additional security cameras funding source 2021 voted bond as presented.
Support.
Any discussion? Having none, could I have a roll call vote, please?
Melissa Clark,
Yes.
Rebecca Haynes,
Yes.
Lisa Calhoun,
Yes.
Kim Smith Colaga, yes. Hillary Stokowski,
Yes.
Jeff Zielke,
Yes.
Dan Salter.
Yes. Could I get a motion for the approval to issue an RFP for a district-wide phone emergency communication system?
Move the Brandon Board of Education approve to issue an RFP for a district-wide phone emergency communication system, funding source 2021 voted bond as presented.
Support.
Okay, any discussion? Having none, could I have a roll call vote, please?
Melissa Clark,
Yes.
Rebecca Haynes,
Yes.
Lisa Cataluna,
Yes.
Smith Colaga, yes. Hillary Stokowski,
Yes.
Jeff Zielke, Diane Salter.
Yes. Could I get a motion to elect the Michigan Association of School Boards MASB Region 8 candidate?
Move the Brandon Board of Education approve to elect Darlene Pomponio as MASB Region 8 Board of Directors candidate as presented.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? Okay, having none, could I have a roll call vote, please?
Melissa Clark,
Yes.
Rebecca Haynes,
Yes.
Lisa Cataluna,
Yes.
Smith Colaga, yes. Hillary Stokowski,
Yes.
Jeff Zielke,
Yes.
Diane Salter.
Yes. Could I get a resolution to support, could I get a motion for a resolution in support of the IDEA Full Funding Act?
Yeah. I'm sorry, move the Brandon Board of Education approve the resolution in support of the IDEA Full Funding Act as presented.
Support.
Okay, well, Kim, Rebecca, tell us what this is about.
So the IDEA Full Funding Act is centered around special education funding. I'm going to take a second to just say what IDEA stands for, Individuals with Disabilities in Education Act. In 1975, this act was put forth, and the idea was that the federal government would provide 40% of funding for districts. Currently, the statewide average is right around 14% per district that the federal government is funding. So it's way off. Although I do believe, Diane, we have a little bit better of numbers in terms of.
Yeah, a little bit, but.
A little bit, but still not
Near 40, yes.
not at the 40 here. And so what is happening now, there's going to be kind of an event, a gathering in Washington on March 10th. And we've been asked to kind of, as a board, support this full funding act. Boards across the county, across the state. The idea here is that our representatives will go to Washington and say, we have the support from our districts across the state, and we need this funding. We need the federal government to hold true to what they promised all those years ago. So that's kind of, Rebecca, I want to thank you, Rebecca, for bringing this up. Rebecca and I talked about it. I reached out to our Oakland Schools representative, David Randalls, to get some background on it. It's very enlightening, very enlightening. So I guess the bottom line is, we don't really care where they get the money from, as long as they're not hitting another education line item. But the idea here is to hold true to what they said they would do.
Absolutely. I'm so glad you guys brought this to our attention so we could vote on this before that date that they're heading over to Washington. Diane, do you have anything to add, Rebecca?
I think it's awesome that you are supporting this and sharing that with the representatives that would be on the.
Thank you.
No, a lot of
Rebecca,
time coming.
yeah, Rebecca, anything?
I mean, I just agree with Kim. We talked at length about it and just, I mean, we have a lot of needs in special education and obviously need funding to support it. And it's so difficult to do everything that we ask them to do without the funding to do it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Anything that doesn't get funded, right, hits our general fund,
Yeah.
right? And so that general fund, we need to be very cautious with, of course, but we have to provide services.
Right.
So it sends us into that vicious cycle of, not being able to get one step ahead without their support. So
In short, is it just about, I apologize, did I interrupt you? In short, is it just an oops, we forgot to comply with the law on the federal front, or we don't have enough money and therefore it doesn't quite hit that line? Do we have a definitive summary of why, or is that going down a rabbit hole that is just beyond tonight?
it's my understanding that that's going down a rabbit hole. Kind of the perception that I got from it, from speaking with some of the experts, was that they've never, it's never been held accountable, right? It's never been pushed. It's never been really, really taken a hold of and said, we need this. So,
Okay,
so that's
thank you.
kind of where the gap is.
Thank
I
you.
understand.
Anybody else, any questions? Okay, having none, could I have a roll call vote, please?
Sure. Melissa Clark,
Yes.
Rebecca Haynes,
Yes.
Lisa Cataluna,
Yes.
Kim Smith-Colaga, yes. Hillary Stokowski,
Yes.
Jeff Zielke,
Yes.
Diane Salter.
Yes. Could I get a motion for the approval of preschool classroom equipment GSRP grant funded?
Move the Brandon Board of Education approve the purchase of preschool classroom equipment not to exceed $80,000 GSRP grant funding source as presented.
Support. Any discussion?
I can just briefly say for the second year in a row, we have some, after we cover our fixed costs with our GSRP grant, they've increased our allocations. So Diane and I work on this every year, and we did have some funding left over. And so the need to do the classroom furniture was on the top of the list. Last year we did the new playground, which is awesome. So we're taking advantage of the extra funding. There's a cooperative, Oakland Schools has a cooperative bidding sheet. And so we don't have to take this out to bid. We're going to purchase from the Oakland Schools. They've already bid it out, so to speak. So preschool teachers have been working hard on deciding how they want this to be configured. And so we're ready to go.
Great news. Okay, could I get a roll call vote, please?
Melissa Clark,
Yes.
Rebecca Haynes,
Yes.
Lisa Cataluna,
Yes.
Kim Smith-Colaga, yes. Hillary Stokowski,
Yes.
Jeff Zielke,
Yes.
Diane Salter.
Yes. Okay, next I have citizens input. I'm gonna start with in the room people.
Wait,
Go ahead.
did you have an H or no?
Oh, that's right, we had the H. I'm sorry, gotta get motions, sorry. Action item, I had it on my other copy for to approve Dr. Richard's recommendation.
Want to do
Can I
it?
get a motion, please?
Sure. Move the Brandon Board of Education in keeping with the Oakland County Health Division recent order, strongly recommend universal indoor masking by all students and staff, but allow parents, staff, and guests the option or choice of wearing a mask in our school buildings effective on February 28th.
Do I get a second?
Or-
Okay, any,
I have a question.
go ahead on the
Is it a-
motion.
I have two things. And I made the motion. I still have two questions.
Yeah.
One
I
is,
support you, so.
Yeah,
is it effective? Got my mind all twisted. Help me out. Is it effective? Is the termination of the county health department's prior order effective on the 28th? Or is its release effective the 28th, meaning the 1st of March is the day?
It's
I read it as
28.
yeah, I read it on the 28th, the mandate is no longer standing.
I read it.
Okay,
27th.
The 28th is a
but-
Monday,
Yeah.
so I'm guessing that.
I'm not arguing
Yep.
either way.
I
I'm
agree.
asking for
Yeah.
clarification.
And I
So
looked at
it is
it's a Monday, so that sounded sort of
That
logical.
makes sense. Okay,
Yep.
very good. So that's my first question.
Yep.
My second question is, would you mind, Dr. Richards, reminding me of the percentages resulting from the survey of the staff? Do you have those in front of you yet?
Again, three categories: masks not required, 36.1%. Masks recommended but optional, 28.9. Then masks required, 35%.
Anybody else have a question or comment? Okay,
My-
having done, could
My
I?
only point is that if this motion is passed, and as already clarified, I'm emphasizing that given those percentages we're seeing from our staff, that this be revisited closely. I will go ahead and express my personal opinion. I'm excited that the mandate is being lifted. That said, I also owe respect to our staff in what, if we're going to ask the question, then we best be ready for the answers. And if that's their response, the numbers are not quite clear enough for me without making this statement in this vote, that if in fact we see indications that we need to revisit this, that we do so, and that we have, as we always have been throughout the 2 years, on the data, like nobody's business, that we pay attention to that data, that we pay attention to our staff, and that we recognize and adjust moving forward with this. So I made the motion. Again, I'm excited for it. That said, these numbers will be in my mind going forward, and we need to pivot.
And that
if
was said at the
necessary.
beginning of the meeting too.
Agreed, but it needs to be emphasized before the vote.
Do we want to alter the motion to like make that language in there just so that it's memorialized, or are we all okay with the way that it is?
I like the motion is a standing that was seconded.
It can be amended.
I don't
If we-
think it
if
needs
we
to be
wish to.
amended to that.
I don't think it needs to be amended, but just so everybody understands what I think needs to be highlighted going forward, we need to be ready to pivot if it's in recognition and support of our staff.
Yep, it's important to note that 35%. That's.
Yeah, that's a
very-
large chunk. That's a large chunk. We have to validate that as a large percentage and pay attention to that.
And I also want to note that, again, it's strongly recommended for the universal indoor masking of all students. That is what we're saying. So that's being stated too. So, okay, anybody else in discussion or wants to say a comment?
Are we allowed to know how many participants? Was that a largely representation of all of our teaching staff, like given the time frame of putting it out so
Yeah,
quickly in that?
we couldn't be thorough because we didn't have the time. It was a
Okay.
weekend.
Right.
But I do have the numbers.
Just so that we're making, I was gonna make,
Yeah.
we
Yeah,
have
that's a
the,
good question. Thank you.
I'll get the exact number. I've got it here somewhere.
that's fine, I just wanted to.
No, it was like 97 out of 130 something that responded. I don't have it in this email.
How many responded? What is it? 97.
Approximately
something.
97 response.
97 responded out of 123 members.
Thank you.
Again, that was done over the weekend, so
Yeah, I just wanted, because I know you said we did a.
we didn't have enough
short
time
frame,
since
so-
the announcement.
Pretty good
was
response
released
given the
Friday.
time frame. That is a good response.
Isn't
it?
Yeah, that's strong.
That's good. Anybody else? More discussion? Any more discussion?
So it's strongly recommended. That
Yes,
is the option for the students.
correct.
Okay.
And yes,
We would like to see students and staff wear masks and our guests. So we'd like to see, that's what I'm proposing. However, I think it's important to allow that option for our parents and our staff if they so choose to take advantage of that option.
Yeah, I'm in, I mean, I don't know, personal opinion, I'm in support of it. I just want clarity on the wording. Because to me, it read a little, that was actually what I was gonna say, the wording read a little clunky to me, and I just wanted to make sure that we were clear on it.
I didn't think this way, so I should have had somebody starting to write out the motion, but I didn't.
I didn't mean to, it's not, I wasn't trying to be
Sorry.
critical, I was just trying to make sure.
I even
know what
forgot
we're talking
about it.
I just fed off of the recommendation. So if there's a need to improve the motion, have it.
No, well, that's good. I think it's good.
All right.
I'm good,
So,
overall good.
anybody
Oh.
else? Good fun.
Okay, could I get a roll call vote, please?
Mrs. Clark,
Yes.
Rebecca Haynes,
Yes.
Lisa Cataluna,
Yes.
Kim Smith Colaga, yes. Hillary Stokowski,
Yes.
Jeff Silky,
Yes.
Diane Salter.
Yes. Okay, now we're at the public comments, or citizens input. I have two people here in the audience, and then I'll check online, remind me. We're gonna set a timer for 3 minutes. Mr. Warren, come on up. Thank you for waiting. I know it was longer than, I can see that clock. Thank you. All right, for your
The ones
patience.
who don't know me, I'm Derek Warren. The ones that do know me, they know me very well. I'm one of the hardest parents to get along with, because you do my kids. I'm asking nicely for the last time, please treat my kids with respect. Don't cross my path the wrong way. And dealing with still incidences with the school district, being lied to, and I'm not here to make up stuff. The documents are getting thicker, and it's got to stop. Everybody knows I'm going to court right now for a lie being told on me, and she knows the truth, but it's all good. My kids are still being bullied, harassed. I get no notification. My daughter comes home and tells me, Dad, well, she got bit by another student. I didn't get no phone call. Then she comes home, Dad, we have a fat girl in our class. I was like, no, you don't talk like that. You was raised better than that. Dad, it's me. That's what they call me. I've asked y'all nicely before, put a stop to this. I have that my 6-year-old she's very intelligent. She has 11 letters in her name. She knows how to spell her name already. That's amazing. I'm being told, I didn't know that she got bit by a student. She never came to me and told me that. My daughter told me exactly how the little boy did it and everything. I got a picture of the bite mark. They did nothing to that little boy. I'm tired of being harassed, the kids being mistreated. My son got suspended for supposedly stabbing another student. If he did it intentionally, he should have been suspended for more than 1 day. He did it by mistake because he was picking up a pencil, swinging his arms. He's ADHD. He's very hyper. I told him he should have been doing that, but he can't help his actions. I'm not here to take up for my kids if they're doing wrong. If they have to do their job the right way. That bond with the security, loving it. They need security cameras in here because some of y'all teachers are liars, and I hate to say that, but my kids can't keep going through this. My son should have never got suspended because he did, and he told somebody, I didn't mean to do that. And the boy was standing behind me. He was stabbed in his groin. And Mr. Pence said that it wasn't no puncture wound. My son should have never been suspended. And I'm getting tired of all the disrespect. How people come at me. Y'all know me. I'm one of the best fathers out there. I'm raising 4 kids on my own. To be looked at funny and lied to for no reason. It's ridiculous. And y'all see my kids sit back here. They're good kids. They shouldn't have to keep.
Thank you, Mr. Warren. Thank you for coming to us.
Are y'all gonna fix it? Y'all gotta listen to the kids.
Okay.
That's why I brought my kids here. They should be heard too.
Okay. Thank you.
We'll see how far it gets.
Okay.
And Mr. Richardson, nice to meet you. I know you don't heard about me. We'll talk more. I'm a very nice dude for it.
I'm too.
Okay, next I have Shelby Simon-Robbins. Thank you, Shelby, also for your patience to get up here.
Absolutely. Hello, my name is Shelby Simon-Robbins. I have 2 students in your district. I am the legal guardian of one and the biological mother of another. All right. Right. I am legal guardian of my niece. My niece is in the 11th grade at Brandon High School. She is a type 1 diabetic. She also has an active 504. I'm reaching out because I feel like the ball has been dropped on her and she was put in danger. She has been experiencing extreme bullying and tormenting since last year. While she is not completely innocent in the beginning of this torment, she has learned her lesson about talking about other students. She completely understands that she cannot run her mouth and not expect drama. That, however, does not give anybody to put their hands on my girl. A student started this assault by pushing her up against the lockers and not letting her escape. This student held her there against her will and would not let her go. She would not stop screaming in her face and verbally assaulted her from the lockers all the way down to the bathroom. A hall monitor had then stepped in between them two
to get this girl away from my niece. He then did not take either one of them down to the office. I want to make it very clear that the hall monitor is the same one that broke up both of the assaults in the videos that I have sent to the board. After the first verbal assault took place, the hall monitor was already alerted that my niece's safety was in danger. Instead of taking her to the office for protection, he walked away. This is when another female got a hold of Mary and started to physically assault her, punching her many times in her head and in her stomach. Because she was concerned, because she was cornered up against the wall, she was unable to escape for her protection. Other students kept shouting things and punches kept flying. This hall monitor slowly approaches, walking towards the assault while she was screaming for her life. The first plan of action this hall monitor took was to remove the girl that was assaulting my niece's hat from her head. While he paid more attention to her hat than the life of my child, she was still able to get at least 5 punches in with him standing right there. He told her to run to get away, and she ran towards the bathroom. This girl then somehow still got away from this hall monitor and followed her into the bathroom and got a hold of her again. She suffered repeated blows to her head. Well, the hall monitor stopped and got on top of this girl. A female math teacher escorted Mary down to the office. I, as the guardian of Mary, was never even notified by the school. Nobody called me. She had to come home and tell me herself. I immediately contacted the principal of Brandon High School. He apologized for not contacting me and told me what happened. She was in so much pain, I ended up having to take her to McLaren Clarkson to get checked out. We have had multiple doctor's appointments regarding this issue, and it is still a year later, and there's a knot on the back of her head. This girl, you have allowed her to come back to school. You have allowed her to come back to school the second semester, and the torment started again. The second semester started on Monday. And she finally told me on Thursday what was happening to her. And I have no choice but to immediately pull my child from your district due to safety concerns. I have put her virtual. She emotionally can't take it anymore, and this isn't fair to her. Your principal has seen the videos. Your principal has admitted to putting my girl in danger. Your principal was supposed to double check the schedules to make sure that this girl and my niece's schedules never crossed. He failed to do so. This girl was in lunch with my niece. The other girl that has assaulted her was also in first hour with her. These schedules were not checked and the ball was completely dropped on her. She will not be returning to your district in person. She will be doing this online. But I want each and every one of you to know that I will not stop until my girl has justice. This is completely ridiculous. And if this was any one of your children, we would have never even had to get to this point, ever. Ever. It's time for us to stand up against bullying, not only against my girl, but for each and every one of these kids in this district. Each and every one of them, for your kids and for my kids. This is not fair. And I demand action be taken. I demand action be taken immediately. I believe that that hall monitor should be suspended until this is investigated. He put my girl's life in danger multiple times in that video. I have sent that video to each and every one of you that I am staring at, including you, Mr. Richards. I know you have seen it. That happened in the hallway of your district. That happened in Brandon High School's hallway. My question to you is, what are we going to do about it and how are we going to resolve it? I look forward to working with each and every one of you to finally get my girl justice, but I won't stop until it has been given.
Thank you, Shelby. Thank you for coming. I know you reached out to us this weekend. Connect with Dr. Richards and meet with him and see what we can do to get whatever.
I also want to state that this was taken to previous superintendents multiple times as well. This should not be something new to you, and I have no idea how this is something new to you, and you guys have never seen it.
Okay.
Absolutely. This is ridiculous, and it's time for us parents to stand up against bullying all around, all together.
Thank you. Thank you, Shelby. And okay, now for online, do we have anybody with their hands up? Oh, sorry. Did you sign in?
I'm not for this one.
Did you want to at least come sign in who you are and,
Sure.
sorry, that's Rosalind. Oh, Rosalind, I know, you. Never mind.
Yeah.
I feel like I can't even recognize you. Come on, Rosalind, come on up.
So after kind of sitting here and listening, knowing a lot of people in the community, and I know I've sent emails to the whole board prior. I've not sent an email to you since you're fairly, you just came on board. But my heart tugs. I mean, I have kids in the school district. We ran into issues. It's tough for kids these days. It's tough across the board. It doesn't matter who you are. Kids are developing, they're trying to learn, they're growing. And it's just tough. I think it's worse now than when I was a kid going to school. So I kind of sit back and look, okay, what can we do? What can we do to help our youth? And when I think about that, that's why I've sent emails about having a speaker come into the schools. I do see that the speaker that I recommended to the school, Tom Coverly, is coming to the high school. So that date is scheduled for March 18th. He's also coming to Hillside on March 20th. He will be at the church and doing one of his shows that day. But that's at the top. We need to go to the elementary, to the middle school, because a lot of these problems that you guys are going to face, having kids again that are in the school district, having seen this, it's starting at an elementary level. You need to look at your elementary, because these years it's taking and it's going up and getting into high school. So it's great that we are addressing the high school, but we really need to look at starting with the elementary along with the middle school. So I guess I would like to see maybe getting Tom into the middle school and elementary. You know, there is a cost to that. So if you guys could reach back out or get a hold of me and what we could do to set up something and how we can go about this, I think our youth need it. And we can sit here tonight and listen to parents. It's needed. Like, we have to do something for these children. And I think learning respect above all else, learning respect, learning how to treat people that are outside your circle, not different than the ones that are inside your circle. And I just think it would be really beneficial to our schools. So if you guys can still please keep that in mind and consider. And then I just kind of wanted to see where we were at with that. If you guys had time to talk, or if whatever came about the email that I sent.
I thought you said they just set a date for March.
They did,
Okay.
but no one ever, I mean, Melissa, you were the only one that reached out to me. I appreciate that. But I guess I didn't hear back from you. I kind of caught wind of that throughout the community, so.
I apologize then.
That's okay.
I have not heard, we have not gotten an update yet from that. I know I followed up with it this year, because I remember seeing it amongst my emails.
Sure.
And again, I remember just sending a follow-up saying, you know, if we're working on this, hopefully, but that's all. I don't have an update. I apologize. Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. Anybody else here?
I had a quick question about count day.
Count day?
Why didn't we get a notice about count day? The first one we didn't get, I didn't get it for the second.
I don't know. I can't answer that either,
People should
sorry.
know that. Like Oxford, I got one for my daughter. Leonard got one note, but Brandon has never gotten a letter or email.
We'll see if I can follow up, County.
But they both passed already, but I wasn't notified.
Yeah. Okay, thank you,
I
Mr.
took
Warren.
my kids went to school that day on the bus, but I went to that school and got them off, brought them back home.
Gotcha.
They won't get no money from mine when they're being treated.
They may be able to follow, no, they'll follow up with you on that. We still you have a legitimate excuse. So thank you very much for making sure they get counted. Thank you.
No, they didn't go.
Right.
They were on the bus, but they didn't enter that building. Cause I told them my kids ain't going to school on count day. Cause IEP.
Oh, okay.
He wants the count day notice so that he cannot send his kids.
There you go.
Oh, got you.
Until things
Okay.
are fixed, my kids won't get
Got you.
count day.
Okay.
Y'all get a
Gotcha.
lot of money for IEP students, for my kids to be harassed by teachers, principals, students, they won't be there
Okay.
until these things are handled the right way. They have to do their investigation thoroughly.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Warren. Thank you very much. Okay, let's look online. Are there any hands up?
I do have one that I will move over. There's one hand raised.
Okay, and I can't see who it is, just so you know.
Her name is Jennifer Fries.
Hi, Jennifer.
How
Can
are-
you?
Yep. Hi, how are you guys?
Oh, good. How are you, Jennifer? Go ahead. You're on. The floor is yours.
Okay, I have 2 elementary students. And I just wanted to, one, make a comment, and ask you guys to all vote to unmask our kids. And my other, I have a question, and you said that you surveyed the staff, and found that 35% were opposed to it. Why wasn't the parents surveyed as well in regard to facial coverings on our children?
And Jennifer, what you do is you address the board and then somebody can follow up with you later, but we typically just listen to what you have to say to us.
Okay.
Anything else, Jennifer?
Nope, that's it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else?
I don't believe so. Oops, hold on here. Got Jennifer. No, no one else at this time.
Okay, thank you very much, and I'm gonna say meeting's adjourned, and I appreciate everybody's patience in this. Thank you.